Hi, this is Dured, and today we're going to be playing Plants vs. Zombies, except in 5 times speed. You know, like, it's a pretty, I would say it's a difficult challenge, but it's actually pretty fun. I'm not Shy Guy Mask, I'm not really, like, qualified for this. I'm not gonna have, like, the top strategy, like, oh, use cob cannons and, ice melons. No, I'm not like that. I'm just some guy who likes playing, and, I don't know, just wants to beat in 5 times speed, so, yeah, hope you enjoy. So yeah, we just start out with the basic strategies that you employ in your regular games. You just get a pea shooter down, some sunflowers, you get a cherry bomb along the way, maybe a potato mine. Yeah, it's pretty normal stuff. You don't really change it up too much while you're playing. The same early game strats apply, and yeah, there's not really too much changing to do. But yeah, on that note, do you want to see a Walnut Bowling game? Because I'm pretty sure it's a lot more interesting than the normal game. And as you can see here, I'm making a lot of mistakes early on, which is kind of normal. You make a lot of mistakes, and you kind of have to live with it sometimes. And yeah, pole vaulting zombies are very painful as well. Any very fast zombie is just hell to deal with. And yeah, as you make your way through World 1, the strategies are pretty similar to the normal game, as well as just the speed strategies in general. You just spam for the most part. And just like that, our first boss level, or not really boss level, just our first conveyor belt level. And yeah, the basic strategy here is not really to have a specific distribution. You just spam them. You spam the pea shooters, you spam the walnuts, you spam the potato mines, and you make sure that the pole vaulting zombies jump early. That's all you really do. There's not really much else to it. And yeah, then we move on to the night levels. It's pretty nice getting through World 1 in like 5 minutes in real time. But yeah, we're just gonna move on to the night levels, where we surely have a specific strategy, you know? We could go for any of these, you know, on the top, but we're just gonna go with the puff shroom and then just randomize after that. It's pretty simple. You just spam puff shrooms the whole time. And it's a lot simpler than the first world. You just spam them and then you win. Every single level can be passed like this. Like, there's no exceptions. You just pass through all of them like this. 1 to 4 is just, oh, use puff shroom. And now it's time for one of the most objectively hard levels in the game, despite being in the first half of it. It's always great to beat one of the hardest levels in the game, especially when it's so early on, but yeah. Like earlier, you just want to spam the puff shrooms. Maybe get like a sun shroom and hypnosis mushroom for the football zombies, but you don't really change that strategy. You just spam puff shrooms and then you win. That's how all these night levels go. Not very it's not really complicated, is it? And yeah, same thing for 2-8. You just go in there and you do everything. It's not that hard. And here is our conveyor belt level. Again, like another 5 minutes into play. It's really not that difficult. You know, there's not really much to say about World 1 or 2, but I have to say World 3 does bring like some difficulty. I feel like it's the second hardest world behind Roof. Maybe even harder than Roof, but yeah, whole point is, it's pretty hard. Not only do you have to account for the pool, but you also have to account for the land. And the way you do that in the earlier levels is just do it normally, basically. And especially without a shop, it's very dangerous to have the lawnmowers in the pool. But for the most part, you just do the same strategy for the first 2 levels. They're pretty basic. As for the 3rd level, yeah, you have scuba zombies, which are, they're a pain in the butt to deal with. Mostly because you have to change your entire organization of the lawn to actually account for them. And instead of doing what we did normally, we have to put sunflowers at the very top and the very bottom. And like what this does is that it gives room for 3-peaters. So yeah, we just make 3-peaters. That's kind of all you do. You grind up to it, you put a 3-peater down, and then yeah. And then all you have to do is put some walnuts after that, and then scuba zombies can't really do anything about that. They just get stuck in the walnut and then they die. It's a pretty cool and efficient way of doing things. Definitely a lot harder than doing it normally, but it saves on space, and it's also one of the only ways that you can really, it's the only way that you can really counter the scuba zombies, especially this early on. In fact, the entire game, this is how you counter them in 5 times speed. Because, I mean, you don't really have enough time to put pea shooters in every single lane while also putting a walnut and sunflowers. In the 5 times speed, you gotta really account for the amount of time you have in between placing things. So, usually it leads to placing less things that you would expect. In normal games, you'd have like 6 rows of everything. And yeah, in this, you can barely get 4 most of the time. Because you really don't get that much. And as for 3-5, not much really changes. You kind of play it normally, except, oh, it's fast. Not really much to it. But yeah, going into 6 through 9, you just do the same thing that you did in 3-3 and 3-4. You just use the 3-peaters the entire time. Use jalapenos for the zombonis. You don't really do much else. Do the same exact strategy. Just use new zombies and new plants as you get them. There's not really... I keep saying that. There's nothing new to do. But yeah, it's still a very complicated strategy. Sometimes you don't even make it. And here is our 3rd conveyor belt level. And I'm just gonna keep quiet for this one. And just like that, we're in World 4, which, similarly to how you play it normally, and how you play it in night in 5 times speed, you just spam mushrooms. You don't really do much else. It's a pretty easy strategy, you know? Do the same exact thing multiple times, and it'll just work in your favor. You use stuff like Blover, maybe the Planchard if you really want to, when it comes to, but yeah, you don't really change much else. And as for 4 or 5, you just do what you do normally. And if you're me, you just spam all the bases until you get stuff. Not really the best strategy in the world, but that's what I do. And, yeah, instead of using split peas, I just put squashes in the back because it's cheaper and it's also a lot easier to manage. Because like I said about the 3-peaters, it's easier to have, like, more plants than there are to have more expensive ones. Or no, it's easier to have plants that are really good instead of a lot of plants, you know? Because it's very hard to plant a ton of things when you're really limited on how much you can scroll your mouse. And that's the reason that 2.5 is so difficult, because you just have to spam and get good RNG. Anyways, here is the 4th treadmill level. And yeah, that's about as hellish as the actual game. You're just spamming most of the time. You don't even know where any of the zombies are. You're just spamming. And then every time you hear a balloon noise, you have to, like, use Blover when you can. And oftentimes you don't even have Blover, which is a really big pain. And, yeah. It's basically just 410. You don't really... It's not really special in its own right. And, yeah, on to World 5, which is about as interesting as the pool levels were, because you do have to change up the strategy a little bit. Sure, you just use the same early game strategies, but yeah, it's still fast. I really wish there was something more entertaining to add to this, but it's just fast. There's not really much... The difficulty is the fact that you have to scroll your mouse, like, 100 miles a minute or something. Like, there's not really any added difficulty on the actual gameplay. It just depends on how fast you move your mouse. So yeah, you just do basically the same things you do in the normal game. You have some magnet shrooms, you have walnuts in front of them, and you just stop the football zombies, the ladder zombies, the pogo zombies from actually getting an edge. That's kind of all you do. And that's all you will do in the entire, in the first 4 levels. That's all you do. And 5.5 isn't different either. You just do the same thing. You hear, like, 5 times speed, but as, like, a challenge, but it's really not. It's just really fun because of the thrill. And, yeah, 5.6, I have employed garlic because I feel like it, but you don't have to. You can just do the same strategies that you normally do. In fact, that is a strategy people normally do. The stars and the garlic. That's the thing people do normally. But yeah, that's what I did just to account for the catapult zombie. That's the only reason I'm doing that. And yeah, you just do what you do normally. Anyways, 5.8 has Gargantuars. I mean, you can see me messing up a lot, mostly because I just have no idea how to deal with a Gargantuar. Because at this point, I'm feeling like, oh well, this might be different because I'm not gonna have enough time to place 2 insta-kills, aren't I? And there's no way I'm gonna rely on catapults. And then I go to the first wave, there's a Gargantuar, and I'm just thinking like, oh, I need to go put some things down. Then he just starts crushing all the flower pots, and I'm like, oh no, how do I place a thing? And then I just eventually do it, and that entire column's gone. So yeah, Gargantuars are very hectic. They're pretty much the hardest mob in the game, the hardest zombie. The second hardest being like Scuba Zombie, I would say. Because everything else you have a basic counter, but Scuba Zombies, Dolphin Zombies, you have to apply a specific thing for. And Gargantuars, you usually don't have enough time to place things. And 5-9 is basically just 5-8, but it has a lot more magnet-based zombies. And yeah, I did really luck out on this one. It wasn't like, oh, I did this clever strat. No, I just lucked out. I didn't really do it properly. Like, as you can see, 2 Gargantuars on the same lane, and they didn't spawn on that one. And yeah, you see the lawnmowers stop it. I just lucked out. I didn't really employ an actual strategy. Anyways, for 5-10, I do a strategy that I've kept waiting until now. You can press escape and then it'll pause the game. So what I did was press escape every time I was like on the roof in some place, and then I went back to the shovel to dig the flower pots to activate the glitch. You might not have heard of it, but I'm assuming that you did. And yeah, you just go back and forth the entire time so you can actually react to things. I really don't know if that's considered cheating, but I think it qualifies. Just a bit questionable, to say the least. It's just like whenever you need to like actually focus, you just pause it and then you just move on. And I did that for the entire boss fight, so I skipped ahead a bit. Would have been more dramatic if it was fast, but I feel like this is still valid. I don't really think this changes much. Anyways, yeah. Beat the game in 5 times speed. I'm very happy with this accomplishment, and yeah. Really don't think there was much else that I could do to make that better. Here is the music video. Oh, yeah, this doesn't seem right. Definitely not the same song. It's just, it's just went, like he just died. Like, there's not really, yeah, the music video's like this. Not really much to say. Yeah, hope you enjoyed. Yeah, I might do 6 times speed soon, because, you know, speed. It'll be a lot like this, but still.